you. In her testimony, Ms. Ballen states that wind hazard research has been underfunded for decades. The other witnesses also express a similar sentiment in their testimonies. All of you indicate that NWERP has never been implemented in any meaningful way because of lack of resources. What opportunities are we missing by not providing the program with, as Dr. Kiesling puts, a reliable, sustained source of funding for maturation and expansion?
I think we just have to look at the earthquake engineering program and see what benefits we have gained from that. We're talking about something that has been funding to the level of, millions of dollars per year. Literally all of the wind engineering research over the last 10 years in the top wind engineering schools amounts to about $1 million per year. We're talking about, and I have seen it, Joplin, Missouri, Tuscaloosa, and Moore, Oklahoma. We're talking about $2 billion, $3 billion, and $5 billion. Those are the numbers, and we simply are not addressing them. What has happened over the time, unfortunately, is there has been attrition of wind engineering faculty. Structural engineering faculty no longer study how to make houses stronger. They're onto, commercial structures and so on. And these are the areas where we have the most damage, the most dollars lost, and the most lives affected.
I agree certainly with everything that Dr. Prevatt just said. I think our feeling is that if there were more money that were in this program, or money in this program, since there really hasn't been money in this program, we've identified in a broad way the areas where we think we could really lead to progress. And the first is enhanced understanding of the events themselves, and different issues in terms of understanding tornadoes and understanding hurricanes, but certainly it starts with the science and the meteorology of that. The second is understanding the connections between those events and the built environment. We're doing some of that at the IBHS Research Center, but certainly more could be done through enhanced funding through NWERP of universities and others. We recreate the nature, and then we see how nature reacts to the built environment, homes and small businesses. The third area is identifying those mitigation measures that actually work. The tornado-proof home, or even in the area of hurricanes, where we know a lot more, there's still a lot more to be learned about how to make those structures better able to sustain nature. And the final thing would be making sure that the tests that our products and standards are based on really do accurately reflect the real world. What we saw in the auto safety arena was that everyone could build a car that withstood the first NHTSA tests because they knew exactly what they needed to build to, and that didn't necessarily mean it was safe in the real world. And so we need to develop testing standards that actually do reflect what we learned from the first side in terms of the real-world weather events. As far as the funding levels are concerned, as you identified in your opening statement, whatever the level is, and more is obviously better from the perspective, I think, of all of the panelists that are here. But you also identified that the static funding is a problem. If the idea of the program is some of these are short, some of these are medium, some of these are long-term events, if you fund it sort of at the same level throughout the 3-year period or whatever the period is, you get everything started, and then you can't identify anything new in the second and third year. So we certainly would recommend at least modest upticks as you go forward, so that we can make sure that we can start what we finish, but also start other things that are identified in the early years of the program.
Dr. Kiesling, you have any response?
Sorry, what was the question? Did you ask me if I needed to add anything?
Do you want to add anything?
Well,
the lack of funding.
I think, again, not only the level of funding, but the continuity is a problem, because particularly with young faculty, because young faculty are under tremendous pressure to produce research, to generate funding, to publish, and if they have areas where that funding is more readily available and dependable, then they're going to go to those areas. So it's very difficult for us to recruit young faculty into wind engineering, for example, because of the lack of our continuity of funding.
Thank you.